Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Reading Black Girls podcast.
I'm Alex.
I'm Denisha.
And I'm Kayla. So, what are we drinking? What's the vibe today? It's a beautiful Sunday, you know.
It's a very pretty Sunday.
What's the vibe? What are the girls giving?
Very pretty.
What are the girls drinking?
It's giving water.
I agree.
It's like that.
Water. That's all.
Well, what you drinking, Z?
Right. I have water, but I have this little a TBH. I don't know what it is. It was made for me, but I know it's got alcohol in it, and y'all see it's red, but I think it's vodka and something.
It looks kind of refreshing, I'm not gonna lie.
That's the vibe. It kind of tastes refreshing. It's been fermenting for about 3 days, but yeah, it's nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Real potent.
Very. What are you drinking, Alex?
Well, I'm drinking my regular margarita, but it's not spicy this time.
No spice, just a regular.
Oh, no spice this time?
Okay.
No spice.
So let's dive in. So the featured book this week, the girls' favorite, Bookstagram been running their mouth. The girls love it. We had to find out the 7 husbands of Evelyn Hugo. We had to see what it was about. We had to get the tea. So
we had to see about Taylor Jenkins Reid. Like, does she really got what is going on? You know, all the girlies are reading this.
Right.
They love them some Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've been talking about Taylor Jenkins Reid for months, and I was so happy that Kayla picked this book.
Yeah, I've been plotting on this book
because we just had to get into it.
You have been.
Y'all,
yes.
The girls, okay, under the post where we were like, yeah, we're reading this book. What are your like hot takes and stuff? Y'all had a lot to say. So we'll mention some of these comments and how some of y'all were feeling during this book. We'll do that, while we're discussing the book. So we chose this book because it was my pick. I believe I bought this book at the beginning of the year and I was like, ooh, I want to read this ASAP. Old Hollywood, like 1920s, very, very fun. It was I was thinking in my mind, y'all know that show on Netflix, Hollywood.
Yes.
That's the vibe I was getting from like the description. I was like, okay, this is going to be good.
Very
I'm
much.
so glad we were able to read it. So Aziza, can you read the synopsis for us?
Of course. Reclusive Hollywood icon Evelyn Hugo is finally ready to tell the truth about her glamorous and scandalous life. But when she chooses unknown magazine reporter Monique Grant to write her story, no one is more astounded than Monique herself. Determined to use this opportunity to jumpstart her career, Monique listens in fascination. From making her way to Los Angeles in the 1950s to leaving show business in the 80s, and of course, the 7 husbands along the way. Evelyn unspools a tale of ruthless ambition, unexpected friendship, and a great forbidden love. But as Evelyn's story nears its conclusion, it becomes clear that her life intersects with Monique's own in tragic and irreversible ways. So that's and honestly, y'all know I just jump into books. I don't even know what they be about. I wish I had read the back because this book was so much more than I thought it was going to be. But I'm not gonna lie to you, like you reading back that little synopsis, I really didn't know what this book was going to be about for real because I did not read all the way through. All I knew was she had 7 husbands, and that's all I needed to know. I was going to read the book.
Yeah.
Facts. Same.
So before we dive into our little kiki talky talk, some of these trigger warnings. So we're just going to, TW, domestic violence, sexual assault, death, suicide, homophobia, alcoholism, and abortion. So we are about to dive into it. If you have not read this book and you plan to and you don't want to be spoiled, go ahead, pause this, save it for later, come back when you finish it, and we will give you a few seconds to exit.
3, 2, 1, go. Bye.
Okay, bye. Okay. So, 7 husbands. My first thought, girl, 7? And she outlived them all. So
yes.
Did outlived every single one of them. Yeah, that's the crazy part.
Was she killing them, low-key? I'm not gonna lie, it passed through my head.
That's what I honestly,
not having read completely what this was all about, in my head I was like, oh, perfect. She's like probably killing these men off. Yes, because I live for things like You think that.
Mm-hmm.
But
You
thought it was that?
I
really did.
That could have been
And it
fun,
was
though.
not that.
It crossed
It
my
just,
mind.
but I will say, like, I think that the way that her whole life unfolded and the fact that she ended up outliving all of them really just adds a little spice to exactly who she was as a character. Like, she was the main character. And if anything, she was going to absolutely outlive everyone else in her life just because.
And she did.
Yeah. One thing
I think the real gag is it was just Evelyn Hugo's life. Like, these 7 husbands really didn't matter
they were
at
just
all.
characters.
They literally didn't matter at all. It was literally just, it should have just been Evelyn Hugo.
Evelyn
Period.
Hugo's life.
And that's all she really wanted. But unfortunately, through all like the patriarchy and everything, she had to just mention them just to be a woman in that time.
Right.
They were there to help assist her in getting to the next level in her career. That's what she used. What? 4 out of 7 for? The only ones she didn't were Dawn, Harry, and kind of Max.
Was Max's
Kind
That was
of.
Celia's brother.
Max was the director of.
Well,
Oh no,
remember.
no. Then I'm sorry. I meant
the Frenchman.
Yeah, the Frenchman who did Bouton Train, the director for.
Okay, French. Don't you just see him approaching Evelyn like, Evelyn, like, I just need you in my movie.
Well, Celia called him
That
Pepe
shit
Le
was
Pew,
funny.
so that's how I.
Celia was on jokes.
That's the voice I heard.
Celia was mad at everybody.
She was.
Everybody that came through the door.
So let's talk about Celia, because first of all, the fact that Evelyn was bi
That was fun. Revelation.
That was a good time.
That was
so
great
fun.
plot twist. Love that.
And then on top of all that, I loved that this book was framed through her love of Celia, and the husbands were just kind of like
a means to an end.
intermingled and like
Yeah,
kind
they
of
didn't matter,
sprinkled
yeah.
it. Right. They really didn't. Like, because we got to meet Celia shortly after she married Don. I think, right? Oh, you know what? Oh, wait, no. Even her first husband, she did use to advance her career. So never mind.
She had to get to
Can we
Hollywood,
talk
baby.
about how young she was?
14.
She was
Yes.
14,
when she
right?
started.
Yeah, lying
Yeah.
about her age.
But she knew she had to
Had
get out
to.
of there.
But she
knew she had to
said-
get out.
And she said she feel like her husband knew, but
He
he
sure
didn't
didn't. He
press
was
her.
like,
He was
okay,
like,
sure.
She said, okay, bet.
whatever.
Well, we're going to sign this marriage
Right, okay,
certificate and that's it.
Right. And her daddy was
Gone.
like, that's fine.
Yep. And
Yeah,
she was
that's fine.
gone.
She really stole her homegirl's man,
Trifling.
though. She had to do it,
Had to-
though. She literally said, she was like, I just had to do it, hun.
And she did.
Like, you wasn't going to use him like that.
Right,
She
yeah.
said, I have better plans.
One thing
So.
I really like about Evelyn
like, what's
is
his
that
job?
she was unapologetically her. All of the decisions she made, she's like, I
through.
am not sorry. I had to do what I had to do. I wouldn't change anything. Am I sorry about, how it may have impacted some people? Sure. But I would do it all over again just so I
Right.
could get to where I need to go. And I was like, okay, sis. Living
Not
your
only
truth.
do it all over again, but all over again and more if it was to protect her
Yes.
family. Like, she was like, I'm like you said, she was very unapologetic, and I appreciated that.
She had to
her.
let
She was
Monique
like, it
know
wasn't
that,
even about
too.
the acting.
Yeah.
She had to let
She's like,
Monique
let me
know
be clear.
from jump.
Let
She
me
let
be
her know
clear.
that the entire time they were communicating with each other, like, hun, you don't need to like me.
Can we?
Like, please
Y'all.
don't like me.
Right. She's like, I'm not a
So
good person.
Denisha-
I repeat.
Put that in the
Denisha
book.
kept saying it.
brought
And
this
she-
up like
What'd I say?
when we were reading about why is this white woman author writing about a bisexual woman and a biracial. I'm gonna be honest, Monique being biracial literally did not add anything to the story.
No.
At all.
She didn't need
to be
biracial.
biracial.
Because even when I guess that element was finally brought into play at the end with the lover, like, being her daddy, that man didn't have to be black to be that man's lover.
No.
But like, it kind of felt like that was another reason why she left him there. Like, I don't know, like Evelyn was trying to say, but it wasn't like she wasn't gonna let Harry go down for a black man. Like, I don't know. I really felt the type of way about that.
That whole scene.
Well, I think the lover and Monique's father, I do think he should have been black. I think that was relevant to Harry at the time because uh Evelyn couldn't come out as bisexual and Harry couldn't come out as gay in an interracial relationship. But I don't think Monique's mother needed to be white.
Mm-hmm.
I think that made it
Yeah.
irrelevant. Like, because it's almost like she tried to connect with Evelyn on that level, but people trying to erase your white identity, I don't know why I use quotation marks, people trying to erase your white identity because you look black, and you, Monique, trying to erase the fact that Evelyn is also attracted to men because she's a bisexual woman are two different things. And I don't like that she tried to make that comparison. So that's why I felt like it was irrelevant for her to be biracial. But I do think the father should have remained black. I think that was important.
I can see that. Okay.
That connection, or the wannabe connection between Evelyn's experience and Monique, definitely was a reach. Like,
it's not even
it was
close.
unnecessary.
She was reaching real far.
Yeah, not even close.
She almost dislocated that shoulder reaching. Okay. It didn't need to be.
And the thing is honestly, like, the story is so good. It was so easy to take in. Like, you really wanted to know more and more about Evelyn as a character. But then the whole time I was reading, I'm like, how are you writing about this, but these are not your experiences? Like, that put like a cloud over it. And that's only like, you'll see when I give y'all my rating, but
because that to me
had something to do with my rating.
Because that to me makes it feel like, are the things you're writing about, is it truly genuine? Because it's not coming from a place of personal experience, right? And oftentimes, I'm sure a lot of authors, you're reaching maybe from topics you don't know about, but you also put in things you do know about, things you have experienced. So, Taylor Jenkins, girl, where's your experiences? Your experiences? What like, where
we want to know.
Where did you put yourself in this book?
Right.
Especially because she was using the D word to describe some of the lesbian, and she used it as a slur in that instance. Like, you really had no business doing that.
Yeah.
That, first of all, that word isn't even supposed to be describing white lesbians. That's supposed to be for black, masculine presenting lesbian women. So I thought that was interesting. I hadn't even thought about the author's personal experience. So now that y'all mentioned that, that's a good point. I'm not a fan of that, especially because it was used against Evelyn in such an odd way, like how Celia was trying to be like, you're a lesbian, when in my experience as a queer woman, it's actually been lesbian women that are like, you're bi. Oh, actually, no, I don't want anything to do with you. They don't try to like make you lesbian. So I thought that was just odd. So maybe that's where her lack of experience came into play.
That's a good point.
Who was your favorite husband?
Harry.
Yeah.
They had the best situation going on. Like, it was perfect for I don't know how many years when they were in New
At
York.
least 13.
A good.
Like, that's fabulous. Like, everyone gets their just desserts. Like, that's literally what it is. Everyone got their just desserts and they were living happy.
Yeah, I think
it was nice. Why did Celia leave again from New York?
Why did she leave? I can't remember.
It was something. It has something to do with her not being able to.
Her and Evelyn
broke
up
again.
Yeah, her and Evelyn
from the
broke
movie.
up.
The
because
movie
she was
going
to be portraying a much more sexually liberated woman in this film, and then sis was like, "I don't. That's enough. I done had. That's enough." And she really meant it.
With her ex-husband.
Right. And it was with her ex-husband, who also is probably one of the least favorite ex-husbands. Like, so I think that that was her last straw.
Absolutely.
Sis was like, you know what? Well, you can do that, but I ain't gonna be here when you do it.
Actually, I think her last straw was the fact that Evelyn did it. And told her in retrospect after Celia had said, I don't want you to, and Evelyn was
it's already done.
I already did it.
Right. But she definitely acknowledged that I should have told her before, but I didn't. I just laid next to her and went to bed.
But the thing is, though, I feel like I almost
She
feel like
wasted them
Celia, like,
sometimes.
sis, you know how she is. Like, I almost feel like,
After
why are
all
you
that time.
surprised? Like, you know that
You know
Evelyn,
that woman.
she is going to do what she needs to do to make sure that she's good. And at that point, that her child is good. Like, and that her whole situation
This
is
is true.
secure. But I also think at that time she also thought about it as more of a deeper like meaning of her roles, because that's really what she was striving for. Like since the beginning, she wanted to be taken seriously as an actress. And I think it was at that point in her career now where she was like, yeah, like I can do more than just play
Yeah.
like, you
She was
know.
willing to take the risk, which was it was important for her development as a artiste.
Mm-hmm.
And she really got
Which
that
is,
bag.
And did.
oh,
Honey,
she
sis
did.
got that bag.
Money
That
was
was
falling.
She
one of
did
her
what she
most
had to do.
notable
And
roles.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting that she put so much into that craft when she herself said, she's like, it was never about the art of acting for me. It was always about, have I proven myself? Have I proven my worth? And am I being validated for it? Which I wonder how many other people
mm,
like in that field feel the same way, because oftentimes like in that field comes notoriety with you proving your worth. And she been wanting to be famous. She was like,
Mm-hmm.
I got a face and titties for the camera,
Yeah.
honey. Okay, the people got to love me, and she was right. But I just thought that was interesting that she put so much into her career, but it wasn't for the love of acting. It was, I want to be known.
yeah. And the fact that she had to literally almost start over like what, 3 times? Like it was like
Yeah.
every time she got a little bit of
Yeah.
success, something happened, and then she was over there trying to devise a plan. Like she was like, okay, well, this
And
isn't
she
really
was the
working. Like,
damn mastermind.
and
Okay.
she was
Her
good.
plans were
Yeah, very
She
solid.
solid.
was
Her
good.
plans were
And
Period.
solid.
She knew exactly what to do every
she had a
time.
very
She said,
good
"Oh,
Literally, when
understanding
that ain't no
of
problem."
people. She has a very good
Mm,
understanding of people, their
She did.
motives, their
Yeah.
motivations, and pretty much how to get what you need out of people. Which from jump, she told Celia, like, look, if you're gonna use people, do not sit up here and act all like
high and
guilty, shy
mighty.
about it. You do what you got to
Mm-hmm.
do to get to where you need to go.
Hmm. My favorite manipulation of hers was when she was over there manipulating the HE double toothpicks out of Rex. When she played the fuck out of that man, like down to the fact that she knew how he would react and exactly what reaction he wanted from
Yeah.
her after like he left the bedroom, and then she's throwing a fit, threw a lamp or something at him, and then he finally left. She's like, "Whew,
That I
Thank
think that's
they
God.
should give
Mick.
out
That was
Oscars for
Mick.
these."
That was
Oh, is
Mick.
that Mick?
Rex, remember Rex? Rex
Who's
was
Rex?
the
Oh,
other.
Rex was the
He was like
last
towards the end, but
one.
he was like the actor that was also like trying to get ahead.
Mhm.
Oh,
And they had a
yes.
very
That was
beneficial
Rex from
mutual.
her
Yeah.
Anna Karenina
Yes,
movie, right?
yes,
Rex was
yes.
from Anna Karenina.
Mhm.
Okay, sorry. Then I
Mick.
meant
Right before
the other one, the
Yes.
singer.
Mhm.
Yes, the singer. Yes. Sorry, wrong husband.
There's
There's
so
7
many.
of them. So,
She
ooh, there are.
manipulated the shit out of
And the
him.
way
did.
she
She
That
from
narrated
was
jump
that,
at the concert.
the way she
so
narrated
good.
that was masterful.
Yeah.
She knew step
It,
by step. Ooh, Evelyn.
She was like, I'm gonna get him to marry me in Vegas. Like,
She
girl,
said,
what the hell?
just a
Like,
like
few
if I
more
how?
was just listening
drinks,
to her
Just a few
plans,
drinks.
and we'll be drunk
We're gonna make
enough
this
to
a
go
little
Right.
public.
down
We're
to
gonna
the
cause
little
a little bit of a
chapel.
scene.
And
And then
boy,
we're gonna
was
be
she
so
right.
drunk. We
Yeah,
can't
she
get
thought they gotta
married,
be
can
all
we?
over him.
Oh, Mick. Let's do it.
Oh,
It was so good. Like, and then she's like, and this is the
Mm.
most important part. You cannot be a good lay.
Mm.
I was like,
and that's she
Mm.
said, "I'm gonna just lay right there."
Like a board.
you're right.
Come on,
I'm gonna just lay
princess.
here.
Stiff.
I'm a back.
Stiff as a board.
Oh. And that man sure did wake up
Hi.
that next day and was like, "Yeah, this ain't for me.
This ain't it.
We should go ahead and annul that. I'll have my
Right.
people call your people."
Right. He was like, this was so
Baby, this is
crazy. We were
crazy.
drunk. What were we thinking? She's like, Mick, no. You and me together forever.
Oh my god.
Meanwhile,
Like, go off, Evelyn.
Meanwhile, she's like, this is perfect. That was my favorite
Yeah.
manipulation of hers because I kind of felt like he deserved it because you really married her, fucked her, and annulled the marriage the next day. Actually, there was a Fresh Prince episode like that where
Yes.
the girl was like, I'll only sleep with you if we get married, and he married her, but then he didn't go that far. But she punched him and
Oh shit.
stole the car. Anyways, that's irrelevant. There's a Fresh Prince episode. Y'all should watch that one if you haven't seen it. But my favorite manipulation of Evelyn's.
Can
so
we be
good.
honest? Celia. So someone actually on that post said they liked the book, but they were not a fan of Celia's. And there were times where I was just like, Celia, girl, you've gotta, what is the reality? Y'all can't publicly be together. Evelyn Hugo is doing what needs to get done so that you guys can live your lives in secret happily. And she just really had a problem with a lot of the things she did. I just feel like, did you really understand Evelyn, who she was, like, to her core? Or did you have like this idealized version of her that you were in love with?
But then, do you really think that any of the people that she was with that she really, well, okay, I will say Harry, like,
Yes, Harry's
that
probably the only person.
Harry was
Harry.
truly, I think, her like true love in the like most true sense of what love is. Like, he accepted her
Mhm.
for who she was no matter what, and she didn't have to put on a different face for him. Like, I think with every single husband and Celia, she had a different persona that she was portraying to them because she was just fitting into what they expected from her. And she was doing it because, I mean, she had a plan, and she always had a plan, and there was an ends to a mean with all of them except for Harry.
This is
They
true.
were sweet
So
together.
beautiful together.
Then they had their daughter, Connor.
But I mean, but coming from like Celia's perspective, like seeing them be married, like on paper and low key, kind of for real, like they actually had sex to create their baby, so like it wouldn't be any rumors about them not creating her naturally, like.
Yeah.
And they
But
had a
that-
baby, but Celia didn't want a baby.
Yeah, she was like,
like,
"Mm-mm."
like they did have differing ideas of what they wanted for their lives, and that's why they ultimately split like that last time before they got back together.
I thought the reason they split, and Evelyn at one point said this, she was like, why does Celia always view our relationship through how things feel for her? Like, I'm in this too. This is not easy for me too. Because later on, she also said, you're mad at me when I want to protect our relationship. You're mad at me when I want to come out with it.
Right.
Like, damned if you do,
True.
damned if you don't type thing. So I don't even think it was about them necessarily wanting the same thing. I thought it was mostly about the sacrifices, and that, truth be told, Celia was naive and she was childish. And she admitted to that later on when she apologized to Evelyn, like the final time they actually got together. She was like, you were trying to protect our relationship in a time that we both needed to. And Evelyn spelled it out for her. She was like, we will be destitute.
Okay.
We will be on them
She wanted to live in a
streets
cardboard box.
if we don't. Right. She's like, they could take my child from me. She's like, they could put us in a mental institution.
Right.
And Celia's ass still was going to be like, but,
love.
Evie. Exactly. Like, it. In that instance, I do think she had this like really idealized version. Even when she wanted to go down to the Stonewall
Yes.
protest, they were
Oh,
like,
yeah.
no, because then
All
the
three
focus
of
is
them
gonna
was
be
like,
on
no.
us.
They were like, right, we'll
I
just
feel
get
like they
money.
all looked at her like that, what? You done lost your mind?
Like, don't be.
They're like, we're gonna just donate some money.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Open
Which
up your
they
purse.
kept doing, which
Yeah.
I appreciated.
It was
Yeah.
sensible.
Exactly.
Open
Open up your purse.
and be quiet.
Thank you.
Everybody has a role to play, and y'all thankfully could provide the financial means to the people that were actually on the ground doing the work. Like,
Yes.
That was enough.
that's where. But I thought Celia was naive and childish, so I absolutely understand why people didn't like her. I didn't focus on her as a character, but I did like her and
Together.
Evelyn
Yeah.
together to an
Mhm.
extent. To an extent, I liked it because Evelyn liked it. But when Evelyn didn't like it, I was like, me either. I can't stand Celia. So I got it. But I did love the Beards situation. That
Genius.
was the best plan ever, and Evelyn really screwed it up. She really messed that up. It was perfect. It was perfect.
Well,
Even after Connor was born, they
It
figured
did.
it out.
They had a nice little situation going on.
But then he had a heart attack. Or the
The-
Harry's boo had a
He
heart
did.
attack.
He died.
and that's
Yeah. But
That
that was after
sucked.
the divorces and
right.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it wouldn't have happened had he not been so stressed
Mhm.
out.
Mm.
Hmm.
It was sad. There was definitely
I
like some
know.
heartbreak.
That
up
was
in
sad.
there. Look, go ahead. Speaking of heartbreak, I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all right now. This book did have some of us crying. It wasn't me, but
It wasn't me either.
It was
It
me.
was me. It was me.
I was crying as well.
so let me ask, like,
yeah,
what
but no
was
tears.
because I'm trying to look. I had a little tear and it went right back where it needed to go.
Low-key
But what
same.
was it? What was the one little moment that got you, Kayla, and then Aziza?
Okay, so for me, I just think it was two. Her losing probably the two most important people in her life, Harry and Celia, and the ways in which that happened. So with both of them,
Yeah.
I don't know. Evelyn just has she's very relatable. She can literally
Mhm.
morph into any character, and arguably her life was the biggest role she's ever played. Bravo, girl, did that.
Mm,
Wow.
So
preach.
I was able to put myself in all the things she was feeling as she was describing this to Monique. I was able to feel those things too. And I'm thinking, if the love of my life slash best friend was dying in my arms and there was nothing I could do, how would I feel? I would be screaming. I would lock myself in a hotel room. I would tear it up. All of those things she was feeling, all of those things she did, 100% related to that. And it really had me it really had me like tearing up, like for real, for real. I was sitting there I was running
Mhm.
through like the last 200 pages. I finished half of this book in a day. I was running through those last 200 pages. You get to the parts where Harry is in the car accident with Monique's father, and then um, Evelyn
Mm.
is with Celia. Where were they, in Spain? Living the rest of their
In
lives together,
Spain. Yeah.
and Celia's dying in her arms, and there was nothing she could do about it. Like that was devastating. Devastating.
And then her daughter
And then
Yeah.
And then her daughter.
yeah.
died in her arms as well. Like, wow.
And I thought that was interesting the way that she retold that part, because I remember I didn't cry when her daughter died, but she told it almost from like a
Yeah.
distance perspective. But when she talked about,
Mhm.
not that it made her obviously any less grief stricken, but she talked about Harry and Celia dying from like a first person point. Like she was there and it was like she was telling it
Yeah.
directly to us. I think I'm trying to remember. Yeah, at that point it wasn't even like her and Monique having a conversation back and forth. It was just
Yeah.
her telling the
Mm.
story, which made it more real. So yeah, Caleb, those same two is what got me. Harry's, and then like I was sitting in my car crying because it was so sad. I was like, 7 husbands later, she finally gets to be with the love of her life. They have broken up, gotten back together, broken up, gotten
Wasted
back
time,
together,
ignoring each other.
broke up, and they acknowledged
Mm.
that they wasted
Mhm.
so much time. They were mad at each other. They finally made the commitment to each other in that silly little bed. It was giving Grey's Anatomy when Derek and Meredith wrote on the post-it
Yes.
note.
Now that I
And
cried.
they finally got married. Same. They finally get married, and then she dies from emphysema because she used to have cigarettes and water for breakfast. Like
They were
like that was just so.
and it was delicious.
That's how she says so.
It was
It
the
was
time.
delicious.
Look, Evelyn used to eat that scent up. She was like, she
Mhm.
smells like
Right.
cigarettes and alcohol. I was like,
Right.
what?
Girl.
She loved waking up in her hair.
loved that.
I'm like, you know
Ooh.
that
Sure
shit was
did.
smoky.
Smoky.
You know it was. That whole room probably was smoky because they smoked in the house.
They smoked in
Back
the
then, they
bed.
smoked
Cigarettes in the bed.
everywhere.
I know the ceilings were black. Ceilings had to be black.
Them walls.
No, because Louisa kept that
It
house
did.
in
True.
order.
She was that girl.
Evelyn
She
was
was.
really like Latinx. Like, yes, she was our Latina, but like not
She
really.
was white Latina.
But
White
Not
yeah.
really.
Latina.
She was yeah, definitely a white.
But like,
Because even when they were talking about her tan, I'd be looking at the book and I'm like,
This lady don't look tan.
I was like,
right.
is it the lighting? But I guess compared to the rest of the pasty whites in
Yeah.
like the 50s and 60s and 70s, she probably was quite tan. So that blonde hair is probably the only thing that saved her.
I'm
and her
sorry, I had
career.
to look up the fan art because I on Instagram,
Did you?
like if you look at seven husbands of Evelyn Hugo fan art, you can get like, I'm like, it looks pretty on brand for what I would think it is. Like, Loki, look it up. Like it gives like she has like golden skin, like this like bronzy blonde hair,
Okay, that's cute.
and these big ass boobs,
Big boobs.
big boobs.
Big boobs.
Child, anyway,
Flat
so
ass.
So anyway, big boob. They kept saying her boobs were her boobs were mentioned in every chapter.
Just about.
Each one of her husbands
They loved her
mentioned her
tits.
boobs. They loved her
And
boobs.
Celia did.
Celia loved her boobs.
Except when Celia was really mean that one time and she was like, "You're nothing more than a pair of tits." I was like,
Bitch, she should have slapped the shit out of her for that one.
Didn't.
Yes, she did.
Oh, Celia
Yeah,
was mean.
she could get really nasty.
Pretty
really
often.
nasty.
She could get really nasty. But Evelyn knew that and she accepted that about her. It's like Evelyn knew every ins and outs about her, tried her best to concede as much as she could, but it's like those little moments she knew, like she's like, I'm gonna stand my ground and Celia's gonna hate it.
Yeah.
And she left her, but when she left her that one time, she really went across the country to LA,
To get her back.
knocked on her door in front of everybody. She was like, let me in. Come on, girl.
And she was like, no.
Yeah, 'cause that was the second time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like,
did fight. She was like, no.
She was like, it's too late.
Yeah.
Nar.
She was like, I learned the first time. She said, I'll beg this time. I'll get on my knees. And she did.
Still
and
was a no.
Celia was, like you said, she was like, no, not
So
this time. So unfortunate. I was like, take her back, Celia.
that being said,
Ooh, but I do have a question.
yes.
Do y'all think Monique was like, her decision was valid, like with Evelyn? Like she just let her do what she did. She was like, I know exactly what you're doing, Evelyn. I see your moves. And I'm gonna go home.
Like she said, Evelyn trusted her with her story. I think she trusted her with her death as well.
Yeah.
Like Evelyn knew that Monique wasn't dumb. So
she knew Monique was gonna
liked
hate her
that.
too.
Yeah.
She knew
She knew
Monique
she was
was
gonna
gonna
be
hate
mad.
her. That was like the best person to
Yeah.
tell that. Cause she was like, she gonna leave me alone after.
But not only that, remember
I was
Monique,
conflicted.
did that beautiful piece about assisted suicide.
Yeah.
So she really felt like this is the person.
Exactly.
If you can communicate this with compassion and understanding, then you will understand the decisions I've made. Every single person I've ever cared about is dead. So, and I just was diagnosed with cancer. So I will die on my terms, just how I made my life. Every decision was on my terms. I'm going to take this last decision in my hands as well. So Evelyn girl did that.
She did.
Yeah. I will say, because I'm just thinking about the end of the book or the summary when they said Monique was determined to use this opportunity to jumpstart her career. I don't think that's
No.
true. Monique had to be pushed and prodded, and she got in her own way a lot, always asking them questions after Evelyn told her to leave it alone.
That shit was funny.
She would
almost
just stop
missed out
talking.
on her
She
money.
almost missed out on
She
big
did.
ass
That's what I'm
money.
saying.
Evelyn
I'm
would
like,
just stop talking.
Shut
She'd be
up,
like-
Monique.
That's actually very
And she'd be like, Evelyn.
That's a good
Evelyn,
point, Aziza,
Evelyn. And Evelyn was
'cause
like,
Monique was very fearful, very hesitant. And Evelyn is like, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. Are you going to take it or no? And she was like, oh.
and I mean, she
yeah.
learned.
Use
She
things
learned
to her
quickly.
advantage.
So that was good. But
And I'm glad that she was able to figure out that internal dilemma of, well, how do I stay with the magazine? But I also want to do this. She pulled Evelyn Hugo, negotiated it, and made a shit work for her. So go ahead.
She a finesse. She had to train, the finesse had to train up another finesse.
Okay.
And did.
And
At least our sis got paid at the end. That's really what I
Yes.
was excited
Got
for.
to
I
get
said,
her
okay, girl,
coins. Mhm.
get your money.
So it seems like from the comments, I'd say majority of them are super positive. Everyone was saying, this is a good one. Love this book. Couldn't put it down. You guys are going to love it. So, with that being said, first off, thank you to our followers who just were giving us input and just giving us like some questions, ideas, and just telling us how much you guys love the book. We love to hear from y'all. So, based off of this, what would you rate this out of 5?
Out of 5, I gave it a 3 because I just couldn't get past the author versus the characters that were being portrayed and the lack of that experience. Now, I honestly think like if I would have read this book and it had centered just like a white reporter and she was speaking on one of these old Hollywood divas, like I still would have enjoyed the book and I probably would have rated it higher. Um, but that little correlation or not correlating, yeah, I'd give it 3.
I'm gonna say I gave it a 3 on Goodreads, but like now that I think about it, I did eat this book up. Like I was really actively reading it. I didn't listen to the audiobook at all. And like I ate it up. It really like got me in a vibe. So I'm gonna give it like a 3.5 because it was an enjoyable read. Like, yeah, it didn't like grip me emotionally as much as I think it should have,
Mm-hmm.
but I still enjoyed the read. And I think it's like at the end of the day, like I did respect Evelyn and like that was what I felt most of all. Like I just respected her life and her story. I do love like rock docs and like documentaries and stuff like that. So it's like I know these old people, they gonna die like at the end of them. So I don't know if that had something to deal with it, but I gave it a 3.5 because I really liked it. I was reading it all through the night, all that.
I respect it. I respect it.
I gave I gave it a 5 on Goodreads. I really enjoyed this book because it was a lot more than I was expecting. Um but after our discussion, like that that discrepancy between, again, like you said, Niche, the author's lived experiences and the characters, I'm gonna bump it down to a 4.5. Because like I said, I still did really enjoy the story, but some of those elements were unnecessary. But yeah, solid 4.5 out of 5.
So I also initially gave it a 5. Okay, I gave it a 5 on Goodreads, but then I went and read Memphis, and then I switched it to a 4. I don't know. I was just like, yeah. Now that I'm thinking back, Evelyn Hugo, very well written, extremely entertaining. If you're not a person who is just like an avid reader and you just want the plot and the characters to grip you from jump, this is the book for you. It's very
Mm-hmm.
entertaining, quick read, well written. Again, we talked about in detail like some of those discrepancies, so that was part of the reason I brought it down. But also, like, I just read a book that I enjoyed even more, so I'm like, if I put this 5 but I just read a book that I enjoyed even more than that, then I feel like I need to adjust, my rating. So I'd give it a solid 4.
Mm. Okay, that's valid too. And yeah, because some of the books that we give 5s to, baby, they're so good, and you keep thinking about them. Like, and I don't know if that this book was necessarily one of those, but I think everything that y'all said is pretty spot on. So, with that being said, this is the Reading Black Girls signing off. Catch us next time. I don't know what we're gonna be talking about, but you know it's gonna be tea.
Mm-hmm. Show enough and will.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.